All right, today I'll be changing the oil on, this is a 2003 Toyota Camry. It's got just over 230,000 miles. It has some leaking past the valves. So I'll be throwing in some of this Lucas engine oil stop leak. I've heard some good things about it. So who knows, we'll give it a shot and then we'll just top off the last three and a half quarts. 3.5 quarts. This takes a total of 4.5, and then we'll just use one of these cheap CarQuest filters. Car this old and this many miles can be a little unpredictable, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of money on, the oil filters. So first thing, we're just going to remove the cap, same as you would if you were refilling a differential, or in this case, as we're draining the oil, as the oil drains out, it creates a vacuum, so you gotta let air in. It's gonna be a 14 millimeter, so we'll drain the oil as that's draining. If I have enough pans, I'll drain both the oil out of the pan and take the oil filter off. All right, so now we're underneath. As you look towards the passenger side of the vehicle, this frame rail, there's your oil pan. And there's the plug right there. It's 14 millimeter. So use the wrench to break it loose, and we'll just loosen it by hand till it gets just to the edge. You should run the engine a little while to get it warmed up, get everything loose as possible. And then once you get it to the edge and you can see that it will pop out by itself, just drop it out real quick, and then that avoids getting oil all over your hand. So we'll let this drain. Once that's done, I'll show you where the oil filter's at, and we'll start draining that as well. Your drain plugs are usually magnetic, usually always, so you can usually remove that. And if there's any metal, fragments that have come loose and made its way into the pan, sometimes the plug will grab it. But this looks pretty good. All right, so the oil's almost done draining out of there. I'm gonna let it go for a while. The crush gasket you can see stuck to the pan. I don't have another one laying around, so I'm gonna live dangerously and leave that on there. I think this pan's big enough. I can pull the pan over, let it keep collecting the oil. It drains out of there, and I'll grab the filter off. It's right there, so you got your oil drain there, and just come forward to the other side of it, and then you'll have your filter. All right, so to take the filter off, I do make ones like this, but for this particular car, that's not going to work, because first of all, it's not going to fit up in there. But Toyota makes these. Toyota doesn't make them. They're for Toyota vehicles. Like on the Tundra, these gaps will line up with the oil filter housing. This Camry uses canister, but if you have other Toyotas, I'd recommend this tool, because this will fit the canister type this Camry has, and I also use this adapter here for a Highlander as well as a Tundra. So it's pretty versatile little tool. So you just need your extension, your 3/8 ratchet, the extension, and it's just gonna fit right inside there. You're gonna press it up in there, get it around there, and then you're just gonna break it loose. Then I'll take that off. Slide the pan over a little bit. There will be some oil left in there. And there's gonna come rushing. You don't want to get all over your hands, but sometimes it's unavoidable. And let's see. This was actually, I used a, last time I used the factory Denso Toyota filter 90915YZZ-FE. But this time I'll just be cheap and put the CarQuest version on there. All right, so while that's draining, take the new filter here. And I'm just gonna take some of the new oil, rub it around this gasket here. I always like to pour a little in the filter, just kind of help the process. Because that initial startup, you drain all the oil out of the engine, so it's good to have some in the filter and try to get the circulation process started early. I'm sure some engineer will tell me I'm an automotive idiot, but that's what I do. All right, so we'll go down there. We'll clean up where the oil filter came off. We'll put the plug back in. We'll get this filter back on, and then we'll be ready to put the new oil in. All right, so now I'm just gonna clean up the oil pan where oil ran down. This is still dripping a little bit. Should be good. All right, so I'll show you up here real quick. That's what it's gonna look like. The oil filter is gonna bolt right up to there. See, they're kind of fine thread, so be careful if you have to, back it off and on a couple times just to make sure you're going on there squarely. And like I said, this crush washer is still stuck on the pan. Normally you would replace that. All right, so we're gonna carefully thread the drain plug back in. Make sure you're not cross-threading it. Me personally, I'm just gonna push it till there's some decent amount of resistance. Take the 14mm again. And I'll give it a little bit more resistance than that. Oops. And do a quarter to half turn. That's about a quarter, and that'll be good. That'll tighten back up. You should follow the manufacturer's recommended torque specs, but for me, that's what I do. I'm gonna take the new filter. Like I said before, they're fine threads, so just don't cross thread it. You have to screw it on there and unscrew it. When it's threaded on there right, there's no resistance. The filter just spins on itself. Same thing with the filter. I do personally. I don't torque it to any specific spec. I just get till there's some resistance, half turn more, because this filter is going to tighten by itself. If you over tighten the filter, you're guaranteeing yourself an oil leak going down the road. Don't over tighten it. All right, plugs back in, oil filter's on. Now we're ready to put the new fluid in. All right, so now it's time to put the fluids back in. Like I said earlier, there's some leaking, I suspect, by the valves. It's an older high mileage engine, so I'm just gonna try this stuff out and see if I lose less oil. I probably lost, this oil change is overdue, I probably lost about a quart in over the 8,000 miles. So it's not terrible, but see if it runs any better with this stuff. can see this stuff is a lot thicker than regular motor oil. I probably should have shook it up first. Yeah. So if you're doing your standard oil change, now you're just gonna add, you would obviously skip that step and you're just gonna use 4.5 quarts of whatever brand you choose to use. So we'll add that now. As you're filling up, you wanna check the dipstick. I'm gonna stop because the reading looks a little high, but this car is also on ramps, so that's gonna affect the reading as well. So you don't have to just blindly put in the 4.5 quarts. Maybe put in the 4, stop once it's on level ground. Check it then so you can get an accurate reading, and then if you have to, add more, because if you put too much in, then we're back to square one. You got to drain all the oil back out, because every time you drain the pan, the filter, you're getting most of it out, but you may not get all of it out. So just don't automatically put 4.5 in there. Add maybe 3.5, maybe 4. Check the oil level on level ground, and then go from there. All right, so I backed it off the ramp. I'm gonna let it sit for a minute, let all the oil drain back into the pan. I'll check the level, top off as necessary. You should climb underneath and make sure there's no leaking around the plug or the filter itself. Besides that, you're all done. Besides your old oil, the filter can go in the trash, and then once you drain it out, well, throw it in the trash, and then the oil can actually go back to, like I use Advance Auto, and they will take it back for free. I just recommend getting a different style pan so you can transport it in your vehicle without spilling. Besides that, it's a pretty simple process, and you can do for a minimal amount of money, just buying some inexpensive tools and saving some money over time, just doing it yourself and knowing it's done right.